My girlfriend insisted that I apologize to her male best friend for upsetting him. I agreed. So I went to his home and standing in front of his wife, I said, "I'm truly sorry. I'm sorry I kept quiet about the affair you had last summer. I should have never hidden that truth for you. Lisa, my girlfriend, has a best friend named Ethan. Their bond is legendary. It's like they've built their own little mutual admiration society, and they're the only two members. They constantly praise each other's brilliance, their jokes, their insights, their everything. Ethan is married to Nora, a kind, quiet woman who watches their dynamic with the weary patience of a librarian supervising two rowdy kids who mistake chaos for friendship. I've always felt like an outsider in my own relationship. Ethan's input is required for everything, from the kind of tea Lisa and I drink to the destinations we choose for our vacations. He even has a key to our apartment, a just-in-case privilege Lisa insisted on giving him. And he uses it, without warning. He'll just barge in, acting like he owns the place. He's smug, patronizing, and skilled at disguising insults as helpful advice. And Lisa, she defends him with such fierce devotion that it's both baffling and infuriating. Last summer, something happened that shifted the balance of our little triangle forever. Lisa had pushed me into joining Ethan for a guy's night out, something I was supposed to enjoy. It was torture. After several overpriced drinks, all paid for by me, of course, Ethan got loose with alcohol and arrogance. And then he confessed he was cheating on his wife. He said it casually with a smirk, reveling in the thrill of his own betrayal. He saw me as harmless, just Lisa's steady, forgettable boyfriend. The next morning, a hungover and panicked Ethan called me. He begged me to forget what he'd said and to bury it forever. Especially from Lisa and Nora, I agreed. It wasn't my place to ruin his life, but I'm a man who believes in mutually assured destruction. I didn't see that secret as a burden. I saw it as insurance. A little piece of leverage tucked away for a day I prayed would never come. That day came last Tuesday. I had committed a sin so great, so unforgivable, I'd hurt Ethan's feelings. My crime? I'd politely asked him to text before using his key to enter our apartment, since he'd walked in on me fresh out of the shower the day before. The reaction was nuclear. Lisa accused me of being petty and insecure, of trying to sabotage her closest friendship. Ethan, playing the wounded poet, said he felt rejected and unwelcome in our home. That led to a dramatic, tear-filled confrontation the next night. Lisa and Ethan, a united front of exaggerated hurt, sat me down like I was on trial. "You owe him an apology, David," Lisa said, arms folded. "A genuine, heartfelt apology. You made him feel like an outsider in his best friend's life." I stared at them. The absurdity of it all was almost poetic. "Fine," I said finally, voice heavy with mock exhaustion. But Lisa wasn't done. A simple "I'm sorry" wasn't enough for her. "Not here," she insisted. "You need to go to his house in front of his wife, so Nora knows you respect the connection we all share." She wanted witnesses. She wanted me humiliated in front of another woman, to cement my role as the obedient fool in their little triangle. A slow, dangerous grin spread across my face. It was the most perfectly ironic setup I could have asked for. She'd given me the key, the stage, and the audience. "Okay," I said quietly, my tone dripping with mock defeat. "I'll go to his house and apologize. It's the right thing to do." Lisa's face lit up with satisfaction. Ethan smirked, basking in his supposed victory. They had no idea what was coming. Update 1. The apology was set for Saturday evening. Lisa spent the next 2 days coaching me on what to say, a masterclass in self-righteous lecturing. I was to admit my jealousy, praise Ethan's loyalty to our relationship, and vow to be more trusting. I nodded along, memorizing my lines like an actor preparing for a play. Then on Saturday afternoon, I made one crucial phone call before we left.
"Hi, Nora, it's David," I said warmly.
"Just checking we're still good for 7 tonight. I really want to clear things up with Ethan and make sure we're all on the same page. It's so important to me that we're one big, happy family." Nora, being genuinely kind, sounded pleased. "Of course, David, we'll see you then." My audience was secured. We arrived at 7 sharp. Lisa was practically glowing with smug anticipation, ready to watch me crawl. Ethan opened the door, radiating false forgiveness, ready to accept my humble apology. Nora greeted us kindly, offering drinks, completely unaware of what was about to unfold. We all settled in the living room. The air was thick with expectation. Lisa gave me a sharp nod, the cue to begin. I stood facing Ethan. Ethan, I began, my voice soft and practiced, we're here because I owe you an apology. I've been unfair and haven't been the friend you deserve. Lisa beamed. Ethan puffed up, ready to bask in his victory. You've been a constant in our lives, I continued, glancing at Nora, and I haven't always appreciated the bond you share with Lisa. For that, I'm truly sorry. Then, I stepped to the center of the room, near the fireplace, and dropped to one knee. Lisa gasped, overjoyed by what she thought was my ultimate surrender. But I didn't look at Ethan. I looked straight at Nora. Nora, I said, my voice suddenly clear and steady, my real apology is to you. Because the biggest mistake I ever made was keeping a secret from you. Her smile faltered. Confusion spread across her face. Ethan froze. Lisa looked like she'd been slapped. I'm so sorry, Nora, I said, my voice raw now, filled with conviction. I'm sorry I didn't tell you about the affair Ethan had last summer, with that woman from his PR firm. I'm sorry I didn't tell you about the hotel rooms he paid for in cash, or the burner email he bragged about. He told me everything one drunken night, then made me swear to keep it secret. And I did. I shouldn't have. That was my failure as a friend. And I'm begging for your forgiveness. Silence. A silence so heavy it seemed to crush the air from the room, the kind that follows an explosion, not precedes it. Nora just stared at me, expression blank, color draining from her face. Then she turned slowly toward her husband. Ethan was ghost white, eyes wide with terror. Lisa broke first. What are you doing? She screamed, jumping to her feet. He's lying. He's just saying this to hurt us. I didn't even glance at her. Still on one knee, I reached into my pocket, pulled out my phone, and held up the screen to Nora. It was a screenshot, a text from the morning after Ethan's confession. After he'd begged me to keep quiet, I'd sent him a message, locking the secret in writing. I won't tell anyone about your affair, but you owe me. His reply was short and damning. Thanks, man. It's done. Never mention it again. Nora stared at the screen. Her husband's name was right there. And that was the moment the entire charade, their friendship, their pride, their fake righteousness, collapsed. In that moment, she knew. She knew it was true. I stood there, surveying the chaos I'd unleashed. Lisa was shrieking at me, her voice cracking with fury. Ethan was stammering, desperately trying to piece together a denial that would never hold. And Nora? She sat silently, a single tear tracing down her cheek. My apology is done, I said quietly. Then I turned, walked out, and shut the door behind me, sealing the explosion inside. Update 2. The immediate fallout was a frenzied battle fought through texts and voicemails. As I drove home, I blocked Lisa's and Ethan's numbers and watched the chaos unfold from afar. The first wave came from Lisa's friends, no doubt rallied by her hysterical calls from Ethan's driveway. Their messages were a mix of outrage and disbelief. What you did was cruel, David. Why would you invent such a story? I replied to each one with the same devastating weapon, the screenshot of my text exchange with Ethan. No explanation. Just the image. The angry messages stopped almost instantly, replaced by silence. The truth, it turns out, is a powerful silencer. The second wave came from Lisa herself, through a storm of desperate emails. Her tone shifted wildly, cycling through all 5 stages of grief for our relationship. First, denial. You're a liar, and I'll never forgive you for this disgusting fabrication. Then anger. I hope you're proud of yourself. You've destroyed everything. Then bargaining. If you admit you made it up, we can still fix this. Then despair. I can't believe this is happening. And finally, a warped form of acceptance. Fine. Maybe Ethan slipped up. But you didn't have to ruin his life just to get back at me. I didn't respond to any of them. The real story, the one that mattered, came unexpectedly 2 days later. Nora emailed me. Her message was brief, but it hit deep. David, I don't know whether to thank you or resent you, but you told me the truth, which is more than my husband has done in a year. I found the hidden bank statements. It was all true. He's not living here anymore. I've hired a lawyer. I just wanted you to know. And I'm sorry for what Lisa and Ethan put you through. You deserve better. That email was my validation. I hadn't just exacted revenge. I'd carried out a necessary, if brutal, act of honesty. With my moral ground secure, I turned to the practical fallout. Lisa was still living in my apartment, So I had my lawyer draft a formal eviction notice, giving her the legally required 30 days to leave. The lease was in my name alone, and I wanted everything airtight. She turned the apartment into a battlefield, blasting music at all hours, leaving spiteful notes on the counter. It was petty. It was sad. I ignored it all, staying at a friend's place while she stewed in her own toxicity. Her final act was an attempt to steal from me. The day before her move-out deadline, I stopped by with a friend to check on her packing, and caught her trying to load my high-end TV and speakers into her car. I didn't raise my voice. I just stood there, arms crossed. "That's not yours, Lisa. I paid for half," she shouted. "No, you didn't," I replied calmly. "I have the bank statement showing I paid in full. Put it back or I'll call the police and show them the receipt. Add theft to your list of recent achievements." Defeated, she returned the TV. The next day, she was gone. When I walked back into my apartment for the first time in years, it was quiet. It was peaceful. It was mine. Final update. It's been 6 months since I knelt in that living room and delivered my apology. The dust has settled, and my life is better than I could have dreamed. The consequences for Lisa and Ethan, however, have been absolute and permanent. Ethan's world is in ashes. Nora, armed with proof of his affair and financial deceit, was merciless in the divorce. She took the house, a hefty share of his assets, and custody of their cat. Ethan now lives in a cramped rented apartment, paying alimony and drowning in misery. His once flattering social circle has disowned him. He's no longer the charismatic golden boy. He's the disgraced cheater, exposed for all to see. As for Lisa, her life has crumbled slowly and painfully. After being evicted from my apartment, she turned to Ethan for support. But he, buried beneath his own collapsing life, had no patience for her drama. Their epic friendship, built on mutual flattery and disdain for me, couldn't survive the harsh light of reality. They reportedly had a massive falling out, each blaming the other for their downfall. With no fiancé, no best friend, and no home, Lisa had to move back in with her parents. Her attempts to paint me as the villain fell flat. The screenshot of Ethan's text was irrefutable proof I hadn't lied. She was exposed, not only as someone who enabled her best friend's betrayal, but as the woman who demanded I apologize for daring to call out disrespect. She lost everything. Last I heard, she's still living with her parents, working a low-level PR job. Her once glamorous life is just a fading memory. She tried to punish me for a perceived slight, and lost everything in the process. As for me, I'm flourishing. The first thing I did after reclaiming my apartment was change the locks, a symbolic act of reclaiming my space and my boundaries. I've thrown myself into work, and the peace in my personal life has fueled my creativity like never before. And Nora, she and I reconnected. A few months after everything, she reached out again to thank me. We met for coffee, just as friends. We shared a strange, quiet bond. We'd both been betrayed by the same two people. We talked for hours, open, honest, raw. That coffee led to dinner a week later. And dinner grew into something more. It's new. It's cautious. But it's real. It's built on shared pain and a mutual promise of truth. We both know what deception feels like, and we're determined never to inflict it on each other. Lisa once demanded that I kneel, that I beg, that I perform my submission. She got her spectacle. But it wasn't my humiliation she witnessed. It was her own downfall. She thought she was directing the show, but I had written the final act. She wanted me to apologize for wounding her best friend's ego. Instead, I apologized for keeping his secret. And in doing so, I freed two people, Nora and myself.